Hey YouTube, it is League Turnover today. Great League, Ultra League, Master League back on. So we're going to do some top Great League teams and look at the updated rankings. And I am so happy with the updated rankings, not because I actually care what the rankings are, just because they are now more of what I thought they should be. So if you go back 3 weeks ago, 3 to 4 weeks ago, when I do my overrated, underrated hidden gems video, I said it makes no sense why there was like Dusclops was at like 80 to 90 and Furret was at like 100 and Blastoise has been my MVP pick. So I was at like 140 and I'm like, it doesn't make sense, especially Dusclops. I'm like, you have more fairies, so Dusclops only needs to really worry about dark and normal. With more fairies, darks are less in this meta, and some of these normal, like Diggersby still number 3 because it's a very strong Pokemon, but some of these normal basically got nerfed. So like, why is Dusclops at like 90 something? And then when we look at the updated rankings here, Dusclops is now up to 13. So rework in the rankings, more in line with I wanted. Same thing. Furret was at like 90 to 100, is now at 48. Blastoise was like 130, it's at 88. So I think these are more reflective of what is strong in the meta. With that said, you're going to see a lot of Pokemon in the top rankings here that have been in the top ranks for a while now. Corviknight, ever since it got Air Cutter, has been number 1. Corsola just bulky. Diggersby, Carbink got the Rock Throw buff. Rock Slide buff. Bastiodon got the Smackdown buff, right? So that's why Bastiodon's up here. So a lot of things that got buffed, a lot of things that are just been strong for a while now, right? Credilli with that Rock Tomb and Acid. Cloudsire's got bulk. Empoleon got that buff this season, which it is extremely strong. You're going to see it on a few teams. But otherwise, you got a lot of the same old meta from the previous season. You got Lapras and Marowak and Stunfisk here. And then you got some of these newer Pokemon with the new moves. Dragon Breath rework on Altaria with that Flamethrower, making it become relevant again. Your reworked Charm, getting to these moves faster on Swift and Icy Wind. Mixed in with some new ones here, right? You got some, Gastrodon's still meta, but you got some more, I guess Gligar was a couple seasons ago. Like your Dragons, here come your Dragons here. So the meta is more or less what we expect it to be with some rework up and down there. So we're going to go over some teams that I put together, Home Slice and Axon, in the first week of the season. So a lot of these are 1, testing new Pokemon, and 2, just trying to build sort of teams with these new Pokemon. So we're going to start with the very, very straightforward Gastrodon, Drapion, Corviknight. This team has been around since Season 1. In Season 1, it was Skarmory, Swampert, and Pick Your Safe Swap, Sableye, Umbreon. That was the team back in the day. Very obvious. Your Mud Boys only have one weakness. It is Grass. Your Flyers Steel double resist Grass, and you have a safe swap. So it's a very easy lead, very easy team to build, very easy team to play. I think Gastrodon plays way, way better with Water Pulse. Not only is it getting to the move 1 quicker than Earth Power, really having that coverage for Flyers is huge. And especially when some of the Flyers are like Talonflame that you can hit super effective now with Water Pulse, it really does make a difference. So I am thinking Gastrodon at least feels a lot better with Water Pulse over Earth Power. But I have seen Earth Power, so just be aware of that. Togekiss was not in the top ranking there, but it does, having played it myself, feel a lot better. Now, I ran it with Aura Sphere, Dazzling Gleam. You can also run it with Psyshock. So the trade-off is if you run it with Psyshock, you will then have something to throw at Clodsire. Right? Clodsire is a poison ground, so poison would resist both the fairy and the fighting. I ran it with Dazzling Gleam because it is a harder hitting move. If you run it with Psyshock, you then have nothing to throw at Psychic Pokemon because fighting and Psychic would be both resisted on Psychic. So, trade-off of what you think you are going to see in the meta. Dazzling Gleam hits harder. Psyshock gives you potentially more coverage, quicker move, but Aura Sphere is such a good move that you want that anyways. You're weak to electric, so that is the main thing. You are also weak to ice, so this team is double weak to ice. So you could theoretically put in something else besides Stunfisk to deal with the electric and the ice. I don't think there's a ton of ice in the meta just yet. That may change. I do think ice is quite strong. I don't even know if I'm showcasing the Abomasnow team, but I do have an Abomasnow team because it is very, very strong in the meta, right? There's a lot of things weak to ice. There's a lot of things weak to grass, and there's a lot of things that grass resists in the meta between electric and ground and stuff like that. Dusclops as a safe swap on this team. Ninetales, Furret, and Blastoise. So I'm very, very, very happy with how Ninetales plays this season. Insanely better. Just the Weather Ball spam in itself is incredible. And getting to that nuke, and it is a nuke, that even water Pokemon are like, I really don't want to take an overheat from a Shadow Ninetales here. So it puts a lot of pressure on. That being said, ground has been meta for like the last 5-10 seasons now. Water has been meta since season 1. Rock users got buffed. Dragons, which resist fire, got buffed. So yes, Ninetales plays insanely better than it did in the past. There's still a ton in the meta that beat it. So you have to try and cover all of those weaknesses to beat it. And other fire are close, depending on whether the other fire have like neutral moves to throw at you. So Blastoise is my one cover because I think it is just incredibly strong. It deals with a lot of the issues of ground and fire and all those. And it's a great safe swap. And then Furret is also, like I said, it should be underrated. It was very underrated on the rankings. Maybe a lot more people will use it now that it's higher ranked. I still think plays an incredibly strong safe swap. Yes, there's more fairy, but because there's more fairy, I think there's also less dark in the meta. Like, I'm not seeing Mandibuzz and Galarian Moltres as much. Again, it was only 1 week of Open Great League, so maybe we will see more. But I had not been seeing a lot of those. So I think Sucker Punch Furret actually has more play there. Plus, if you're now seeing more fairies and potentially more flyers, maybe there's, and we don't have a lot of fighters in the meta to begin with, potentially less fighters there too. So Furret, I think, plays a very strong safe swap in general. Furret, Blastoise can both be safe swaps, both have bulk, both are going to put pressure on shields, right? Sucker Punch Swift coming at 10. You can boost your attack with Trailblaze and just really put on pressures with the Sucker Punch. And then those Hydros are coming at 12, 9, 9. So that's a very strong combo there. And then you still have your Ninetales that can overheat things to close there. So I think it's been a very strong Pokemon. Toedscruel, Empoleon, Talonflame, you are W2 electric, but the main electric you're seeing is Dedenne in this meta. And if Shadow Empoleon has a 1, I think it has a 1 Metal Sound advantage, it actually wins in all the shield scenarios because Metal Sound as a steel is super effective. And then Hydro Cannon it's actually Steel's neutral there because it's resistant on electric. But Metal Sound, Hydro Cannon are both neutral. And then Empoleon's so hard hitting, it'll add up. And the Hydro Cannon is just such a nuke of a move, right? So not a nuke, but like such a hard hitting move. So Empoleon's can deal with like Dedenne in itself. And Talonflame, that's why I'm also running Flame Charge, because you can kind of ramp up in that shield scenario and go from there. But Toedscruel is the ultimate Dedenne answer. And so that you're resisting the electric, double resisting on the ground, single resisting on the grass. So you're triple resisting electric, which is why you can potentially run like an ABB type-ish style team like this. Empoleon is extremely safe. I still like Talonflame, even though it's generally lower ranked as well. I still think it's probably going to be one of the best flying/fire Pokemon you're going to see in this meta. Toedscruel, I don't like using Toedscruel, but I understand its strength, right? It has some bulk. The Mudslap, you get the same type of attack bonus on it. It has a very unique typing. You can just lower the attack with lower the opponent's defense with Wrap, and then just combo with Mudslap there. So I understand its strength. I didn't love using it, but it's definitely an option. Okay, this Altaria, I showed Empoleon already, but I'm showing this team again. I'm showing this team because Empoleon Altaria Core was showcased by, I think this is Home Slice. Yeah, this is Home Slice, and Axon did one as well, and maybe other content creators did as well. It's a very, very strong core, right? Fairy and Ice are your biggest weaknesses on Altaria. You resist that on Empoleon. Empoleon's going to have problems with Fighter and Ground. Altaria's going to deal with that. You have Dusclops as your safe swap. Very straightforward team. Very strong team. You got some pressure for shields on Empoleon. You can use shields with Empoleon because you have 2 very, very bulky Pokemon in the back that can also put some pressure on some shields or just take a lot of damage. I wanted to showcase Lickitung. I also use Lickitung. I didn't love the team I used, although I used it with Pharaoh, and it's sort of the same idea here with Corviknight. You're covering your fighter weakness as your main thing, and then Corsola is like one of the top ranked Pokemon. So you have double things kind of have trouble with Dark. So maybe you don't want to run the exact same team, but Corsola in itself is a strong Pokemon, and Corviknight is that's the number 1 and 2 ranked Pokemon. So when you put them together, it's just fine. Lickitung does play a lot better. So Lickitung was the number 1 safe swap in the Great League forever. It was a dominant Pokemon. It was on like 70% of teams. And Then Body Slam got nerfed. And when Body Slam got nerfed, it dropped to like 100 and something in the rankings. Now, Body Slam got buffed, but it didn't get fully buffed back. So the first time it dropped its damage by 10, and then the buff jumped it up to 5 more. So it's net 5 loss still. That being said, I think everything else is working for Lickitung. Like I already mentioned the normal typing, how, you know, there's less dark in the meta because of the fairies, and there's less fighting in the meta because of the fairies. So the Lick may not be resisted as normal types, may not, few of them, but it may not be resisted by as many Pokemon. There's a decent amount of ghosts in this meta, Dusclops, Dusknoir, Corsola, all those Pokemon. You have the bulk, you have the Power Whip, which can deal with all your ground and water. So I think Lickitung is back. I would not be surprised if you see a lot of it. Is it going to be the go-to safe swap like it used to be? I don't think so. I think there's probably other safe swaps now that are strong, but I think that it can be a very, very strong Pokemon in this meta, and one that you may want to think about when you're building teams. Another Pokemon, more or less balanced team here. So you got Pharaoh on the lead, Corsola safe swap, Quagsire back. Very similar to my first team, right? Balanced core. Pharaoh going to be weak to electric, and it's also going to be weak to ice, but electric being your main one. Quagsire going to deal with that. Quagsire weak to grass. Pharaoh will deal with that. Corsola as your safe swap. You have Power Gem and Stone Edge to deal with ice Pokemon in the back, need be. If you see like an ice Pokemon on the lead and you don't have an immediate answer, you have two things that can kind of deal with ice. So bulk in the middle. Pharaoh's pretty glossy. I've used it. I understand its strengths. It's a very, very weird one. I would go look up my analysis on it on Beyond the Hype when I did it. I did Lickitung and Pharaoh in the same video, and it's very weird with its different shield scenarios and different energy scenarios. In the 0, 1, and 2 shield scenarios in itself, it's garbage. If you get like one extra peck in the 1 shield scenario, it's like a god. But if you get like one extra peck in the 0 or 2s, it's still not amazing. So it's a very weird one where it plays a particular role with a certain energy advantage in a certain shield scenario, but otherwise it's going to have some problems. Drill Peck's never going to one-shot anything unless it's like super effective, but it will pretty much take out everything in 2 moves. So you will be able to KO most Pokemon in 2 moves, and that puts a lot of pressure when you're throwing those at every 10. But you are very, very glassy, so you need to use shield. So why you're going to like it and hate it is that you're going to have coverage with Drill Run for the electric Pokemon. Because you're spamming at a crazy speed, you're going to really put pressure on shields. But if you go against some sort of bulky Pokemon like Blastoise rollout is super effective, so that may just like skew it a bit. But even like Lapras, those bulky Pokemon's ability to take one of your charge moves and your glassiness not able to really take their charge moves is really going to put you in a tricky situation for those Pokemon. So just be aware that's kind of how Pharaoh plays. And, Carbink, Malamar here, and Corviknight. I was just mostly showing Carbink just because, Carbink and Bastiodon both got buffed this season. Carbink with the Rock Slide and Bastiodon with the Smackdown. Now, the reason I'm bringing up these 2 Pokemon is because there was a time where you needed to build for Bastiodon. You needed basically every single team that you ran at one point. I forget what season. It was like, we're talking like 10 plus seasons ago at this point. But every single team that you built had to have either a fighter or a ground that would beat Bastiodon, because it was just so dominant and it can wall so many things and take so much damage. Now, Carbink and Bastiodon are both going to be a lot more in the meta, as we saw by the rankings here. Both are in the top 10, right? We got Carbink at number 4 and we got Bastiodon at number 9. I don't know if we're at the point that you need to build for one of them, but I wouldn't leave myself vulnerable to them, if that makes sense. Like, you can combo them with like 3 neutral Pokemon. Like if you have like a Corsola and a couple other like neutral Pokemon, you can combo your way through that. Just beware that like it's tough. These Pokemon are extremely bulky. Both of these defenses are through the roof here, as you can see. 252 defense with 126 stamina for almost 700 overall in Carbink, and Bastiodon's right there with it with a 247 defense, 139 stamina, 2800 overall, right? These charge moves, any sort of like neutral charge moves on these Pokemon do not do much at all, which really puts pressure on you, even though they do not hit super hard. So just be aware. You don't need to really build for one yet, but I would not be like double weak to these things, or else you're going to have a bad time, because I expect to see a healthy dose of them this season. That's basically it. Again, there's other Pokemon. You can go look at my 1 week in meta-analysis, overranked, underranked Pokemon. You know, there's a bunch of Pokemon on this list that we haven't talked about yet. Clodsire, Credilli, didn't showcase any teams with them, or Marowak didn't showcase any team with that, but they're all going to be very strong. Zweilous was one I think I have to try. It's a very unique one in the one shield scenario, with a 27 and 15 record and a 514 average. So you're going to get killed by the ones you're supposed to get killed by, you know, your fairies, your double weak to fairy. Those are all going to be very hard losses, and then like stuff that resist. But then you're picking up so many wins against so many meta Pokemon here. Like, so it has a insanely high record. I have not tested it yet. I don't know if it's a sim hero or what, but it's one I want to test out this time around. But the problem, not a problem, but it's something that I've mentioned last 2 seasons now, and this season. The problem with this meta, and why a lot of people will struggle, is because there are 80 viable Pokemon that have play in this meta. You can truly just go down to 80, rank 80 here, and you'll have Drapion at 79. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, Drapion at 79, you know, Quagsire at 81, Shadow Metang at 84, Togekiss is now down here at 87, which is extremely strong. Blastoise at 88 is going to be amazing. Ninetales, the Shadow may be ranked higher, but that's usable. Shadow for Alligator is at friggin' 96. Like, there are so many. Oh, actually, the Shadow Ninetales is even lower at 101, right? So there's so many strong Pokemon through this meta. Dugong at 111, that even if you think like, oh, I'm going to cover these top 20 Pokemon, I'm going to make sure I have an option for Carbink and Bastiodon, I'm going to make sure I have an option for Corviknight, I'm going to have an option for Dedenne. I haven't even seen Dedenne. Where's Dedenne ranked? 41. I'm going to have an option for Dedenne. You like try and cover all those, and then you see something in like the 100 rank that still has a lot of play in the meta, and you're going to just lose. So it's going to feel more RPS at times, because you can only build a team for so much and build it so safe. Everything's got a counter. And with the meta being so wide, and you know, the ability to team build a bunch of different ways and use a bunch of different Pokemon will fill RPS at times. So there's not much you can do about that. Just good luck, I guess. Anyways, with that, but I think we're probably just doing straight Great League teams this week. It hasn't been on since week 1. I've got a lot of teams of my own and viewer submitted teams that I have not covered since when they were submitted week 1. So we're going to kind of rotate through those with a sprinkle of like newer teams. Plus that, I think that allows me to really try and hone in on a team that I like. If you watched my video yesterday, I found a team that I finally lost my first set just to follow it up with another 4-1. So I've got like 8 positive sets to 1 negative set, finally finding a team in the Willpower Cup. I'm hoping that with all these Great League teams that I have to showcase still, that I can find a team early in like the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that I'll be able to run with for a while, and then bring that to you guys. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.